I just watched Spider-Man Brand New Day. Here's what really happens. Warning, spoiler warning. This video contains major spoilers for Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you haven't watched the movie yet and want to experience all the twists for yourself, now's your chance to click away. But if you've already seen it, let's break down one of the biggest Spider-Man movies ever made. I literally just walked out of Spider-Man Brand New Day, and wow, I honestly think this is one of the best Spider-Man movies we've ever gotten. From the emotional storytelling, to the incredible action, to the shocking Marvel connections, this movie had me hooked from beginning to end. And unlike some recent superhero films that rely almost entirely on cameos, Brand New Day actually focuses on Peter Parker as a character. It's a much more personal story, a story about grief, identity, forgiveness, and finding hope after losing everything. One of the biggest surprises for me was Sadie Sink's performance as Jean Grey. She absolutely steals every scene she's in. But what makes her character so compelling is that she isn't introduced as a typical Marvel villain. She's driven by something deeply personal. Jean is desperately searching for her missing older sister, Sarah Grey, believing she's still alive somewhere after disappearing years earlier. That search eventually puts her directly in Spider-Man's path, and from that moment, the movie completely changes. As Peter tries to uncover the truth behind Sarah's disappearance, he finds himself pulled into a much larger conspiracy involving the Department of Damage Control and the experiments that were secretly carried out on Sarah. Those revelations give Jean's actions real emotional weight and make her one of the MCU's most sympathetic characters. The movie also brings back some familiar faces in really fun ways. We get to see Professor Hulk, who plays an important role in helping Peter understand the growing threats surrounding Jean's incredible psychic abilities. Then there's Frank Castle, the Punisher. Seeing Spider-Man and Punisher reluctantly working together to protect New York from dangerous criminals is something I never expected, but somehow it works surprisingly well. Their personalities constantly clash, their methods couldn't be more different, and yet they make for one of the movie's most entertaining partnerships. We also get an intense showdown with Scorpion, but this isn't just another supervillain fight. Jean manipulates Scorpion's mind, turning him into an unwilling weapon against Spider-Man. What follows is one of the film's best action sequences, forcing Peter to stop someone who's no longer acting of his own free will. At the same time, Peter is still carrying the emotional scars left behind by No Way Home. MJ doesn't remember him, Ned doesn't remember him. To them, Peter Parker is just another stranger. Watching Peter try to move forward while everyone he loves has forgotten who he is honestly heartbreaking. And that's really what makes this movie stand out. Yes, there are incredible fight scenes. Yes, there are massive Marvel surprises. Yes, there are some exciting setups for the future of the MCU. But beneath all of that, this is still a story about a young man who's trying to hold on to hope in a world that no longer remembers him. There's so much more to talk about, from Jean Grey's heartbreaking mission to Sarah's shocking fate, the incredible ninja fight inside the Department of Damage Control, Peter embracing his new powers, the emotional ending with MJ and Ned, and of course, that mysterious post-credit scene that could completely change Spider-Man's future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let's break down everything that happens. But before we get to that incredible post-credit scene, Marvel gives us one final emotional moment. And honestly, this might be my favorite scene in the entire movie. After everything Peter has been through, after saving New York once again, he quietly walks into a small neighborhood coffee shop. Nothing heroic, nothing dramatic, just Peter trying to live a normal life. He notices someone sitting alone at one of the tables. It's Ned Leeds. Peter pauses for a second. You can tell he's thinking about everything they've been through together, even though Ned has no memory of any of it. Peter slowly walks over, takes a deep breath, and introduces himself. Hi, I'm Peter. It's such a simple line, but after everything that happened in No Way Home, it carries so much weight.
Ned smiles politely and reaches out his hand to introduce himself. Peter shakes it. Then, without either of them consciously thinking about it, their hands naturally slip into their old signature handshake. The exact handshake they used to do before Dr. Strange's spell erased Peter from everyone's memories. The moment it happens, they both freeze. Peter looks confused. Ned looks equally surprised. For just a brief second, it's like their bodies remembered something their minds had forgotten. And that's what makes this scene so beautiful. It's subtle, it's quiet, but it's incredibly powerful. Marvel never says the spell is breaking. Instead, it suggests that real friendships can't simply be erased. Somewhere deep inside, those memories are still there, waiting to resurface. And that's not the only emotional hint Marvel gives us. Earlier, we also see MJ still wearing the necklace Peter once gave her. She has no conscious memory of Peter Parker. She doesn't remember falling in love with him. She doesn't remember everything they sacrificed together. But for some reason, she's never let go of that necklace. It's a tiny detail, but it speaks volumes. Almost as if a part of her heart remembers something her mind no longer can. Then comes the moment that completely caught me off guard. Ned looks back at Peter, smiles, and quietly says, "Peter?" Just one word. But that single word completely changes everything. Maybe Dr. Strange's spell didn't erase every memory forever. Maybe it only buried them. Maybe the people who truly loved Peter, MJ, Ned, are finally beginning to remember. It's a beautifully understated ending, one built on hope instead of spectacle. And honestly, I think it's one of the most emotional endings we've ever seen in a Spider-Man movie.
Yes, you absolutely need to stay until the very end of the credits. There's only one post-credit scene in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and unlike some Marvel movies, there's nothing hidden halfway through the credits. So don't leave your seat early. The only extra scene plays right at the very end, even after the Sony Pictures logos finish. Now let's talk about what it actually means. The scene opens with Ned Leeds using his spider tracker, a device designed to locate Spider-Man. At first, everything seems perfectly normal. The tracker quickly identifies Peter Parker, showing that he's back in Queens. So far, nothing unusual. But then, something unexpected happens. The tracker suddenly detects another Spider-Man signal. Only this time, the location doesn't make any sense. Instead of displaying a city or a set of coordinates, the screen simply reads, "Unknown." The camera slowly pulls away from Earth, giving us a wider and wider view of the planet before drifting out into space. As the tracker struggles to lock onto the signal, the display begins to glitch. For a few seconds, it looks like it's lost the target completely. Then, the connection stabilizes. A Spider-Man signal appears once again, but this time, it's somewhere out in the cosmos. And that's where Marvel leaves us. No explanation, no answers, just one massive mystery. Naturally, the first question that comes to mind is, where is this Spider-Man? Some fans immediately believe this could be Battleworld, the patchwork planet from Marvel Comics that's expected to play a huge role in Avengers Secret Wars. Others think Doctor Doom may have already captured Peter and transported him somewhere far from Earth to set up the next Avengers movie. Those are definitely interesting theories, but after looking closely at the scene, I'm not entirely convinced. If you pay attention to the stars in the background, you'll notice something interesting. The constellations don't appear to change dramatically, suggesting that this isn't necessarily another galaxy or even another universe. If that's the case, then Spider-Man might actually be much closer to Earth than we first assumed. One possibility is that Peter has somehow been transported onto a spacecraft positioned just beyond Earth's orbit, perhaps somewhere near the moon. If the final incursion is approaching, placing Spider-Man somewhere safe before reality begins to collapse would actually make a lot of sense. But there's another theory that's even more interesting. What if that second Spider-Man signal isn't Tom Holland's Peter Parker at all? Think about it. Ned's tracker never loses the original signal in Queens. Peter is still exactly where he's supposed to be. The device doesn't replace that signal. It detects another one. That tiny detail could be incredibly important. Instead of tracking the same Spider-Man twice, the device may have locked onto an entirely different Spider-Man somewhere else in the multiverse. If that's true, then this scene could be teasing the return of another Peter Parker. Maybe it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Maybe it's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Or maybe it's a version we've never met before. Considering the multiverse is becoming increasingly unstable, multiple Spider-Man existing at the same time would make perfect sense. There have also been plenty of rumors surrounding Avengers Doomsday, including speculation that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man could return in a much bigger role. While Marvel hasn't confirmed any of those reports, this post-credit scene certainly leaves the door wide open for something along those lines. And that's exactly why Marvel keeps the ending so mysterious. Instead of giving us answers, they leave us asking questions. Who is this second Spider-Man? Where exactly is he? And how will he fit into everything that's coming next? Finally, after the post-credit scene ends, one last message appears on screen. Spider-Man will return. It's a simple promise, but it confirms that Peter Parker's story is far from over. What Marvel doesn't reveal, however, is where we'll see him next. Will he return in Avengers Doomsday? Will his next appearance be in Avengers Secret Wars? Or could Marvel have another surprise appearance planned before either of those films? Right now, we simply don't know. But one thing is certain, the ending of Spider-Man Brand New Day isn't just teasing another Spider-Man movie. It's setting the stage for the next major chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if this post-credit scene is any indication, Spider-Man's biggest adventure may still be ahead of him.